When does self-help turn to self-harm? When does the advice that we get from all of the gurus and wise people out there on podcasts and social media, how does that advice that we take sometimes turn into bitter medicine? Today I'm going to unpack the very interesting chart of queer activist, author, and self-help person, Glennon Doyle. This is Lydia with the Feng Shui and Bazi Chinese Astrology channel, and often I like to read the charts of famous people to better understand our own lives and our own charts. So welcome. I read Untamed by Glennon Doyle during a very critical time of my life, which was a hot minute ago last fall, when I did something called wintering. And in my wintering, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, I read Untamed by Glennon Doyle and related to so much of it and so appreciated her message and what she was saying as I started to read the book. And somewhere around maybe 3/4 of the way through and into the end, my tone changed and I walked away with a different feeling. So let's look at Glennon Doyle's Bazi Astrology. She's born March 20th, 1976 at 16:20. That's her hour. The time that she's born is a Yang Fire Dragon year. And the month of Yin Metal Rabbit and the day of Yin Metal Sheep and the hour of Yang Fire Monkey. Now, this woman has got a really interesting combination of the 12 zodiac animals here. Some of the things that jump out at me right away with her chart. First of all, a fire dragon year. Wow, that is somebody that's got strong leadership skills, somebody who is independent, fiery in her response, and probably has gotten into trouble more times than she would like to admit with opening her mouth and letting it all come out. Yeah, watch that. Then we look at her day, right? And this is interesting because it's like the soft and the loud, the masculine and the feminine, and the in-between. So you've got this roaring, fiery dragon for her year. And then you have a yin metal sheep sitting there on her day, which is not like the sheep is the most peaceful of all the zodiac animals. It's chilled out. It just wants to be in its sweatpants and sitting back and enjoying life. Not quite like a pig and in like that kind of zoned out, chilled out lifestyle, but certainly wants things to be peaceful around them. She definitely has the gift of gab. She's a force to be reckoned with. This is someone who is adventurous, she's daring, she chases after her desires, nothing slows her down, nothing will stop her, and she will resort to, even being manipulative or doing whatever she can in order to survive, right? You get backed up against the wall, she will come out fighting. This is a strong person, okay? And yet, interesting that her yin-yang is balanced, the divine feminine, the divine masculine. But she has this great force within her. She's organized, she's a planner. She likes having all her ducks in a row. And and she's got a great work ethic. Honest and reliable and true. All of these things are so amazingly awesome. So all of this to be said, this is like such a chart that screams of how strong she is within her character, right? And that persona right? That brings her out. Now, if I were to say, where does that pulse in her come from to be such a celebrity and so out in the world, doing her podcast and writing her books and things, is the dragon. The dragon really is leading. And often you will relate to one or the other, your year or your day, remembering that your day pillar really speaks specifically to you. But for whatever reason, some people tend to lean more towards the personality of their year zodiac animal than their day. Usually it's like a combination of the two. And so I'm sure that she brings that peaceful, that harmonious quality into the dragon. Now her hour is also interesting because this is where her career sits. And this is a yang fire monkey. This feels like somebody who's got their hands in a lot of different projects. She gets bored easily. She's here, she's there, all over the place. And you add to that this is someone who likes to be busy and be in charge. And so she's managing and doing all kinds of stuff. The monkey, literally, if you break it down, says that she puts on a persona, that she is a kick-ass mom. That is it, right? That is her work. I am putting on this persona. Here I am. I'm playing this role. I am the kick-ass mom, right? And with her work, she brings in her partner, right? And Abby is a very big part of her work, as is her sister. And so there is this sense of family, like a family business or something that she does with her partner. So all of this to be said, this year, 2024 for her with the dragon is banging up against her year, which isn't near as bad as when it bangs up against your day pillar, right? But the thing is, in this situation, when it bangs up against the year, it's a very good time for making a move. Something like a big trip, maybe buying a new house and moving. It shows movement. It's literal movement, not internal movement, physical movement. Sometimes these things are chosen and sometimes they're put upon us, right? The time that she is in her life, okay, is very interesting. Her writing career really began in 2009, okay, during a luck cycle that began in 2001 when she was ages 25 to 34. And this was a time that was very focused on the mom, the mother qualities, the nurturing, the caring, right? And that mother persona being so strong. Daughters were foretold during this time. And the rabbit in her month is creating a punishment of the rabbit punishment, the penalty that brings in weird, funky kind of relationships. And this may have just been that point during this time where she is going through this transformation within herself. And I would recognize that punishment as being something that is speaking specific to her sexuality. And that she's married to a man, she's having kids and all the things. It's not myself, right? Is this who I am? And so there's all of that going on. But most of this decade, when her career began, is very much focused on being a mother to her daughters and being very actively engaged in that. a lot of creative projects. And again, this is when her writing career begins. Now, 2013 is when Love Warrior was published. And this is when she's in a luck cycle of a yin fire pig. All right. And this is bringing in a full wood trio. Now, I didn't talk about her elements, but let's break that down real quick. She is a yin metal person. That's like sparkles and glitter. And that's balanced at 27%. Her earth, what nourishes the metal, is also balanced at 15%. Water is the weakest element in her chart. And interesting that water is what motivates her to be active and productive in her life. And so with that, she, so there's like this weakness in the water that is kind of like there's nowhere for her energy to go for creative projects, for doing things, right? For being motivated. The wood is balanced at 22% and the fire is strong at 32%. So the interesting thing is this: writing and publishing books is a wood industry. So she's supporting that, but the water is what nourishes her career. And so this is interesting. Her podcast is verbal, it's speaking, it's motivating people. And it's like, and in her doing that, she is fueling her own career as a writer. It's like she has created the platform needed in order to support her industry of being a writer by doing her podcast, which like all of that aligning is perfect. And sometimes we just innately know what it is we need to do to have flow in our lives, to have abundance in our lives, to be that in tune with what we need, right? Now, at this point, 2011, we've got a major shift going on in her life. There is this yin fire is challenging her career. It is bringing in a lot of opposition and conflict and criticism of her. This is when her divorce happened. This is the publishing again of Love Warrior. And then at the just nearing the end of this, 2017 is when she married Abby. And the last year of this tumultuous decade of her life was the release of Untamed. Awesome book. Get back to that one in a minute. Got lots to say on that. And again, there is this shift and change and challenge happening in her career, along with a lot of big transformative change, like big change happening in her life. And with all of that, there is moving, there's making money, there is this, focus on just, prospering and doing well in her life. So then we come to her current luck cycle that began in 2021. Not long after she got married, not long after she released the book Untamed. And this is when she launched, that was the year 2021 that she launched her podcast, We Can Do Hard Things. All right, so this time of her life is ruled by a Yang fire dog, which, interesting, this highlights her career, her family, her marriage, and the mother archetype, right? And that mother archetype, it's a very strong signature. It shows up a number of times in her chart. And this is also, shows that there is strength within herself, a collaboration with others. Her sister is part of this journey. And also recognizing that, under the surface, there are still shifts and changes happening in her career. Now, I want to stop and say something here. Many people have read Glennon Doyle's books. I actually reached out to her team and sent an email a while ago. Actually, it was probably last fall after reading her book. Here's this thing. This gets personal, all right? So last year, my life pretty much kind of needed to fall apart because I was falling apart. In the last several years, I have lost a whole lot of living things, precious living things. And even my business as a kids yoga instructor that I did for almost 20 years was a living thing. Something that I nurtured and loved and cared for and worked really hard. And like for many of us, COVID changed our lives. And I was doing hard things. I am that person, as a person born in the year of a fire horse and the day of a yin water ox. That's the root of my chart. I always do hard things. I think women in general tend to feel like it's put upon us to do hard things, right? It's not as hard as when my mom was a mother and had to be a woman of service. Serve your man, stand by your man, serve your children. And you're kind of an anonymous person. Nobody knows who the mom is. Who is this person? Well, it's different nowadays. But with that, I know that my life as a mother, I was constantly doing hard things. And when I stopped, everything in my life came to a screeching halt mid-August. And I literally walked away from being a kids yoga teacher. I retired from that position. I retired from that aspect of my job. And I went into a deep wintering. I spent about 6 weeks off the internet, for the most part, not working. I came home, and I live out in a very rural, serene area where I host women's retreats, and that's what I do now. But at that time, I, without realizing it, gave myself a retreat for all those weeks. I connected with nature, and I read a lot of books, and I did a lot of writing. And in all of that, one of the books I read was Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And in reading this book, I got a little angry. Like I said, about 3/4 of the way through, I was doing a lot of right? Like I get it. And that's one of the things about self-help books. It's like there's a part of you that agrees, there's a part of you that resonates, and there's that part of you that's like, ooh, I didn't know that, or ooh, I've got something, another tool I can use, or more wisdom. But what I came away with was, I'm done with doing hard things. I'm done with doing hard things. You should be done with doing hard things. Why do we do this to ourselves? I literally pushed myself, friends, almost to a nervous breakdown last year. The only response I had was to come home and stop, literally stop. And you know what I learned to do? Soft things. That's what I want to get on Glennon Doyle's podcast to talk about. That's what I emailed her about. Of course, I didn't hear from her, but, I tried. But I want women around this country of ours to know we can do soft things. What does that mean, huh? Well, we know how to do hard things. The hard thing is get up every day, take care of the kids, take care of the house. What does the man need? What do I need? What does my boss need? What do my friends need? I'm giving. I'm doing. Is it enough yet? How about now? I can do hard things. Keep going, girl. Keep going. Keep going until you hit the wall. Because that wall, we all know it, and we've all banged up against it. No more. It doesn't serve our highest good. Learn to do soft things. What does that mean? Delegate. Say no. Self-care. Amp it up. Every day. Take a bowl. You can decorate it. You can do this with the kids. You can do this with your partner, man or woman. Get a bowl. Everybody has their little bowl. They can decorate it, make it their own, and you're going to write down your self-care. Epsom salt baths, taking a nap, sitting with a cup of tea and looking out the window, going for a solo silent walk in the park. These are just a few that I can think of. Morning meditation, evening meditation, journaling, listening to an inspiring podcast. Every day you choose something from that self-care bowl, and so do your kids and your partner. And what you're doing is teaching everyone that we can do soft things at the end of our day, in the midst of our day of doing hard things. Being soft means we put down the armor and we allow ourselves to cry. We allow ourselves to feel. We allow ourselves to stop and reflect and breathe deep, slow breaths. We allow ourselves open time that's not scheduled for anything. And so this is my Glennon Doyle Bazi Astrology read. If you're curious, I'd love to do yours. I'll put a link in the description. You can get a written chart or you can get an oral read. And I would love to help you if you are struggling in your life to understand the concept of doing soft things for yourself and letting that armor go. Because you've reached that point of burnout like I did. It was amazing to me how fast my sweet nervous system began to recover once I gave it permission to let go and surrender to just the now moment. Let go of time, let go of space, and just be. In this world, my friends, I don't think we need to be learning how to do any more hard things. So, until next time, be well and amp up that self-care. I'd love to know what your self-care practices are. Feel free to put them in the comments so that we can all benefit. Try to keep your comments positive and uplifting because that's what we need in our world. No more critics and judges, right? Because everybody's got an opinion. Be well, friends. Thank you.